The great hall of the Concordat Central Station gleamed with metals unknown to Earth science. Commander Thomas Reed tried not to stare at the ceiling that seemed to shift colors like a living thing. Next to him, Ambassador Anna Wilson stood tall, her back straight despite the 30-hour journey from Earth. They were the first humans to step foot in this place, and they felt the weight of that honor. "Remember," Anna whispered, "we are not begging. We are introducing ourselves as equals." Tom nodded, but his mouth felt dry. The 5 alien representatives seated at the curved table before them didn't look impressed. They looked bored. It was the year 2157. Humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel just 15 years ago. The discovery of the gravity fold drive had changed everything. Earth united as never before, pooling resources to build the first exploration ships. They had visited 12 star systems before encountering the beacon that summoned the Concordat scout ship. Learning they were not alone in the universe had been shocking enough. Learning that dozens of alien races had formed a massive alliance thousands of years ago was humbling. But the real surprise came when the Concordat agreed to this meeting. Tom and Anna had prepared for months, gathering Earth's greatest achievements to present to the galactic community. High Commander Vex, the apparent leader of the group, raised a 3-fingered hand. The translator device at Tom's ear buzzed to life. The Galactic Concordat recognizes the representatives of Earth. You may present your credentials. Anna stepped forward and activated the holographic display they had brought. It showed Earth's history, from the first cities to the modern space age. "Honorable representatives of the Concordat," she began, "we come in peace and friendship. Humanity has only recently achieved star travel, but we have a rich history of scientific advancement and cultural achievement. The display showed the pyramids, the Great Wall, the first airplane, the first moon landing, and finally, the gravity fold drive that allowed faster-than-light travel. In just 300 years, we went from steam engines to starships," Anna said proudly. "We hope to learn from the Concordat and contribute our unique perspective to galactic society." When she finished, there was silence. Then, a sound Tom didn't expect. Laughter. Not from all the aliens, but from 3 of them, including Vex. The translator couldn't quite capture the sound, but the meaning was clear. 300 years from combustion engines to fold space, said Vex, the vibration in his throat making the translator crackle. "And you consider this impressive?" One of the aliens, with skin like blue stone, leaned forward. "The jury developed fold technology over 12,000 years of careful science. The Maritax took nearly 9,000. Even the quickest developers, the Tulla, required 2,000 years of focused research." "That's exactly our point," Tom said, stepping forward. "Humanity adapts quickly. We learn fast. We can bring new ideas." "You rushed," interrupted Vex, the plates on his face shifting to a darker color. "You stumbled upon discoveries without understanding their implications. Tell me, do your people fully understand the subspace resonance effects of your drive system?" Tom hesitated. Earth scientists were still studying some of the stranger aspects of the fold drive. "I thought not," said Vex. "You are children playing with forces beyond your comprehension." The alien to Vex's right, a being with features that reminded Tom of an octopus, pressed something on the table. A new hologram appeared showing Earth's solar system. "We have reviewed your application for recognition," it said in a softer voice than Vex. "The Concordat hereby classifies Earth as a Grade 3 developing species. You will be permitted to maintain colonies within your home system only. Travel beyond these limits will require Concordat approval." "That's not what we came here to discuss," Anna said, her diplomatic training evident in how she kept her voice steady. "We came to establish relations as equals." Vex made a dismissive gesture. "Equality must be earned. Your species has existed for a mere blink compared to the youngest Concordat member. Your technology is functional but crude. Your understanding of universal principles is rudimentary at best. We learned faster than any species in your records," Tom said, feeling heat rise in his face. "Doesn't that count for something?" "It counts as concerning," said the blue-skinned alien. "Species that advance too quickly often destroy themselves, or others. The restrictions are as much for your protection as ours. Anna tried again. We have brought examples of our art, literature, philosophy. Yes, yes, Vex said, waving his hand. Cultural achievements are noted but irrelevant to your classification. The Concordat evaluates species based on technological development, stability, and cosmic understanding. The smallest alien, who had remained silent until now, touched a glowing pad. Your ship designs particularly interest us. They appear unconventional. Tom felt a small spark of hope. Our engineers took some unique approaches to solve. They are inefficient, the small alien interrupted. Your power utilization is wasteful. Your navigation systems are imprecise. Even your life support relies on mechanical redundancies rather than proper field stabilization. The hope died in Tom's chest. The meeting continued for another hour, but it was clear from the start. Humanity had been judged and found wanting. The Concordat would place monitoring stations at the edge of the solar system to ensure humans stayed where they belonged. They would be permitted to apply for reclassification in 50 years. As they walked back to their ship, Anna was silent, her face a mask of diplomatic neutrality. Only when they were alone in the airlock did she speak. They think we're children, she said. Tom nodded, looking out the viewport at the massive Concordat station. It dwarfed their ship like a mountain next to an ant. Did you notice something? He asked. Their technology, it's all based on the same principles, different applications but the same foundations. I noticed, Anna said. No real innovation, just refinements of ancient designs. Tom looked at her. They've been doing things the same way for thousands of years. A small smile formed on Anna's lips, and they just told the most adaptable species in known space that they're not good enough. What do we do now? Tom asked as their ship detached from the station. Anna's smile grew wider. We go home. We tell Earth what happened. And then we show them what primitive humans can really do. The ship's engines hummed to life, carrying the two humans back toward Earth. Behind them, the mighty Concordat continued its ancient routines, unaware that they had just created their greatest challenge in 10,000 years. In the vastness of space, no one noticed the small Earth vessel disappear into fold space, or the determined expressions of its crew. The Concordat had made their judgment. Humanity would make them regret it. The United Earth Council chamber fell silent as the recording ended. 50 of the most powerful people on the planet had just watched Commander Reed and Ambassador Wilson's meeting with the Concordat. The room stayed quiet for nearly a full minute. General Robert Hayes, head of Earth Defense, was the first to speak. So that's it? We're confined to our own solar system like children in a playpen? President James Moore rubbed his temples. They don't consider us a threat. They barely consider us worthy of attention. Anna Wilson, who had given the presentation, nodded. The Concordat has existed for over 10,000 years. To them, we're just another young species to catalog and contain. But they've given us something valuable, Thomas Reed said, standing up. They've shown us their weaknesses. All eyes turned to him. What weaknesses? Asked Dr. Emily Chen, Earth's leading physicist. Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours. Tom clicked a button and the screen showed images of Concordat ships and technology. Look at their designs. Everything they build follows the same patterns, the same scientific principles. They haven't truly innovated in centuries, maybe longer. They've just been refining the same technologies. Dr. Chen leaned forward, suddenly interested. You're saying they're in a technological rut? Exactly, Anna said. They were shocked by how quickly we developed fold space travel. Not impressed, shocked. It frightened them because we took a different path than they did. President Moore looked thoughtful. What are you suggesting? Tom and Anna exchanged glances. We propose Operation Phoenix, Tom said. A complete technological revolution, focused on paths the Concordat hasn't explored. And we keep it secret, Anna added. Let them think we've accepted our place. Meanwhile, we build something they can't imagine. 3 years passed. The Concordat monitoring stations at the edge of the solar system recorded normal human activity. Colony ships traveled to Mars, Venus, and the moons of Jupiter. Mining operations expanded in the asteroid belt. Everything appeared as expected for a Grade 3 species. The monitors didn't detect the vast network of facilities hidden inside asteroids and moons. They didn't notice the quantum encrypted communications or the research labs buried deep under the Martian surface. In one such lab, Dr. Emily Chen stared at test results on her screen. Behind her, Admiral Jack Morgan waited patiently. "It works," she said finally, turning to face him. "The gravity manipulation field is stable." Jack didn't smile. He rarely did, but his eyes lit up. "How does it compare to Concordat technology?" "It doesn't," Emily replied. "That's the beauty of it. They use fold space technology based on quantum tunneling. This is completely different. We're actually bending the fabric of space-time itself. Will it make our ships faster?" Emily laughed. "Not just faster. If my calculations are correct, we can use this field to create shields, weapons, propulsion, even cloaking technology. The Concordat won't see it coming because they've never explored this direction." Jack nodded slowly. "How soon until we can install it on a test vessel?" 6 months for a working prototype. Maybe 2 years for full integration. Good. Keep it quiet. Remember our protocol." As Jack left the lab, he passed dozens of scientists working on other projects. Each team knew only their own work. No one except the Phoenix Council had the complete picture. It was safer that way. 5 years after the Concordat meeting, Earth launched the William Turing, officially a deep space research vessel. The Concordat monitors scanned it, noted its apparently conventional design, and logged it as harmless. They didn't detect the experimental gravity drive hidden within its core. On the bridge, Captain Leila Rodriguez watched as her crew prepared for the test. "All systems ready, Captain," reported her first officer, Michael Banks. "Begin test sequence," Leila ordered. "Keep us within the Jupiter shadow zone." The ship moved silently into position behind Jupiter, hidden from the Concordat monitors. Engineers worked at their stations activating the new drive. "Field is stable," said the chief engineer. "Ready on your command." Leila took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth. Either they'd make history, or they'd become a floating cloud of atoms. "Engage the gravity drive." The ship hummed softly, then suddenly there was no sensation of movement at all. On the view screen, Jupiter vanished, replaced by empty space. "Status report," Leila demanded. "All systems normal," said Michael, checking his readings. "According to our instruments, we've traveled 2.7 light-years in 8.3 seconds. A cheer erupted on the bridge. They had done it. The first human ship to use the gravity drive had just moved faster than any Concordat vessel ever recorded. "Send the encoded message to command," Leila ordered, when the celebration quieted. Phoenix 1 successful. 8 years after the Concordat meeting, the secret shipyards in the Kuiper Belt began construction on the first true warship of the New Earth fleet. Unlike the test vessels, this would be a full military craft designed for one purpose: to demonstrate Earth's true potential. In the main design center, Admiral Morgan met with the chief architect, Dr. Marcus Wells. "We're calling it the Dreadnought class," Marcus explained, showing Jack the holographic design. "It incorporates everything we've developed: gravity drives, phase shields, force projection weapons, and adaptive hull materials." Jack studied the massive ship design. It was unlike anything humans had built before, or anything the Concordat had ever seen. "How many can we build without detection?" he asked. 7, Marcus replied. "We've got resource extraction and manufacturing, all happening in Concordat blind spots. If we're careful, we can have all 7 completed within 5 years." Jack nodded. "And the crews?" "Training already. We're using the simulator facilities on Titan. The Concordat thinks it's a mining operation." The Admiral allowed himself a small smile. 10 years ago, they laughed at us. In 5 more years, they won't be laughing. In her office on Mars, Ambassador Anna Wilson read the latest Concordat intelligence report. The monitoring stations continued. To classify Earth as a compliant Grade 3 civilization, Tom Reed, now General of the United Earth Forces, stood by the window, looking out at the Martian landscape. 13 years, he said quietly. 13 years of playing weak and primitive. Anna set down the report. The Phoenix fleet is almost ready. The question is, when do we reveal ourselves? When we have to, Tom replied. We're not looking for a fight. Anna walked to stand beside him. But we'll be ready if one comes. Yes, Tom agreed, watching the red dust swirl across the Martian surface. We'll be ready. Outside the windows of human settlements throughout the solar system, men and women went about their daily lives. Few knew what was happening in the hidden facilities and secret shipyards. Few knew that Earth was preparing for a day when the galaxy would have to recognize humanity's true worth. The Concordat had made a critical mistake. They had given humanity time to prepare, and they had underestimated human ingenuity. Both errors would soon come back to haunt them. Alarms blared throughout the Concordat outpost Gamma 12. Commander Telk rushed to the command center, his forelegs carrying him faster than any human could run. Report, he ordered as he entered. Scaren attack ships, sir, said his second-in-command. 3 heavy cruisers just emerged from fold space. They're targeting the outer colonies. Telk watched the tactical display with growing concern. This was the 4th Scaren attack in 2 months. The Concordat had dealt with the Scaren Empire for centuries, but these new attacks were different, more aggressive, more coordinated. Alert. Central Command, Telk ordered. Request reinforcements. The message was sent, but Telk already knew what the response would be. The Concordat was pulling back, protecting its core systems. Outposts like Gamma 12 were being abandoned one by one. He looked at the nearby star systems on the display. One caught his eye. Sul, home to that primitive species they'd classified years ago. The humans would be defenseless if the Scarens pushed in that direction. Telk sighed. Not his problem. The humans would have to fend for themselves. Admiral Jack Morgan stood in the command center of Mars Base 1, studying the reports from the edge of the solar system. The fighting is getting closer, noted General Thomas Reed, who had just arrived, from Earth. 3 more Concordat outposts have gone dark. Jack nodded grimly. The Concordat is retreating. They're abandoning the outer systems to save themselves. Typical, Thomas muttered. They talk about galactic unity, but when trouble comes, they circle the wagons around their core worlds. A young officer approached them. Admiral, we're detecting an unidentified ship entering the system. It's not using fold space technology. It's just limping in on conventional drives. Jack and Thomas exchanged glances. This wasn't in their plans. Bring up visual, Jack ordered. The main screen showed a badly damaged ship, unlike any they had seen before. It was clearly not Concordat design. The flowing organic curves suggested a different species entirely. Open a channel, Thomas said. The screen flickered, then showed a being with delicate features and silvery skin. The alien appeared injured, and the bridge behind it was smoking. This is the Talani vessel Morning Light, the alien said in halting words through a crude translator. We seek sanctuary. Our colony was attacked by Scaren forces. The Concordat abandoned us. Please, help. Jack didn't hesitate. Guide them in, prepare medical teams and repair crews. Thomas raised an eyebrow. You know this violates Concordat regulations. Grade 3 species aren't supposed to interact with other civilizations. Jack's face hardened. The Concordat left them to die. Rules be damned. 2 days later, Ambassador Anna Wilson sat across from Riel, the captain of the Talani ship. Despite their alien appearance, the Talani were surprisingly human-like in their emotions and responses. You saved 43 lives, Anna said. That's what matters now. Riel looked troubled. But we have endangered you. When the Concordat learns you have helped us. Let me worry about the Concordat, Anna replied with a small smile. Riel studied her curiously. You do not act like a Grade 3 species. Your technology, The medical equipment that saved my people, your repair methods, they are different from concordate designs. We've been busy, Anna said simply. Riel was about to respond when alarms sounded. A communication officer rushed in. Ambassador, 3 concordate enforcement vessels have entered the system. They're demanding we surrender the Talani ship immediately. Anna's smile vanished. Tell Admiral Morgan it's time. High Commander Vex himself led the concordate enforcement squadron. It had been 15 years since he had classified Earth as a primitive world, and he hadn't given the planet much thought since then. Now he was irritated at having to divert precious resources during a crisis to deal with a minor regulation infraction. Open a channel to Earth, he ordered. Instead of the expected humble human face, his screen showed Admiral Jack Morgan in a crisp military uniform. This is Admiral Morgan of the United Earth Forces. State your business. Vex was taken aback by the human's tone but recovered quickly. You are harboring a non-concordate vessel in violation of your Grade 3 classification. Surrender the Talani ship immediately. Morgan's expression didn't change. The Talani came to us for asylum after the concordate abandoned them to the Scarens. We will not surrender them. This is not a request, Vex said coldly. Comply or face consequences. You have 1 hour. The channel closed. Vex turned to his tactical officer. Prepare to disable their orbital defenses. This won't take long. Exactly 1 hour later, Vex was growing impatient. No response from the humans. His communications officer reported. Very well, Vex said. Move the squadron into position. Target their orbital platforms only. Minimal casualties. The 3 concordate ships began to advance toward Earth. Suddenly, the tactical display lit up with warnings. Sir, the tactical officer called out, his voice rising. Something is emerging from behind Earth's moon. A ship appeared on their screens. A human ship, but unlike any they had seen before. It was massive, easily twice the size of Vex's command vessel, with a sleek design that shared no characteristics with concordate construction principles. Impossible, Vex whispered. The human vessel accelerated toward them at astonishing speed, moving faster than concordate sensors could properly track. Concordate Squadron, came Admiral Morgan's voice. This is the EDS Defiance. You are ordered to withdraw from Earth space immediately. Vex found his voice. You dare threaten concordate enforcement vessels? Your primitive weapons cannot. His words died as the Defiance fired. Not energy weapons or missiles, but something else. A wave of distorted space that washed over one of his escort ships. The concordate vessel suddenly stopped, frozen in space, as though caught in amber. What was that? Vex demanded. Localized gravity field. His science officer replied, voice shaking. They've weaponized gravity itself. Concordate vessels. Morgan's voice came again, calm and measured. That was a warning shot. Your engines will restart in approximately 10 minutes. I suggest you use that time to reconsider your position. The Talani are under our protection now. Vex stared at the human ship in disbelief. This was impossible. Humans were a Grade 3 species. They couldn't have this technology. They couldn't have built this ship, but the evidence was right in front of him. Hi, Commander, his first officer said quietly. We should withdraw. We don't know what else that ship can do. For the first time in his long career, Vex retreated, without a fight. As his remaining ships turned away from Earth, he kept his eyes on the human vessel. The Defiance. An appropriate name, he thought bitterly. Back on Earth, Riel watched the confrontation from the command center alongside Thomas. Reed. You could have destroyed them, Riel said in wonder. Thomas shook his head. That's not our goal. We just wanted to send a message. But how did you develop such technology without the concordate knowing? Thomas smiled. Sometimes being underestimated is the greatest advantage of all. Riel looked thoughtful. The Scarens are pushing toward your sector of space. More refugees will come. Let them come, Thomas said. And let the concordate watch what happens when the primitives decide to show what they can really do. The concordate Central Council chamber hadn't seen an emergency meeting of this scale in over 300 years. Representatives from all 27 member species gathered as reports from the outer systems grew increasingly dire. High Commander. Vex stood before them, trying to maintain his dignity despite the circumstances. The Scaren advance continues, he reported. We have lost contact with 16 outposts and 4 colony worlds. Our defense fleets are regrouping around Riel, Prime to make a stand. And what of the human vessel? Asked Counselor Zath, the eldest of the Maritax delegation. The reports from your encounter are disturbing. Vex's faceplates darkened with embarrassment. The human ship demonstrated technology we didn't know they possessed. They appear to have developed gravity manipulation weapons. Murmurs filled the chamber. Such technology shouldn't be possible for a species at Earth's development level. How did they advance so quickly? Demanded another counselor. We don't know, Vex admitted. Our monitoring stations detected no unusual activity within their system for the past 15 years. Then you weren't looking closely enough, Zath said coldly. While we face the greatest threat to the Concordat in millennia, we now have an unknown factor in the humans. Your failure to properly assess them may cost us dearly. Vex had no reply. For the first time in his career, he faced the possibility that he had made a grave mistake. Admiral Jack Morgan stood on the bridge of the EDS Defiance looking at the tactical display. 6 more refugee ships had arrived in Earth space in the past week, all species abandoned by the retreating Concordat forces. The Scarens will reach Riel Prime in 3 days, reported Captain Daniel Foster, commanding officer of the Defiance. According to our intelligence, the Concordat is gathering their remaining fleets there for a last stand. Jack nodded. If Riel falls, there's nothing between the Scarens and Earth except empty space. General Thomas Reed, who had come aboard from Earth, studied the display. We could evacuate the refugees deeper into our system. And then what? Jack asked. Hide behind Jupiter and hope the Scarens don't find us? No. The time for hiding is over. He pressed a button on the console. This is Admiral Morgan to all Phoenix vessels. Activation order Alpha 1. I repeat, Alpha 1. This is not a drill. Thomas looked at him in surprise. You're deploying the entire fleet? We were saving them for a moment like this. Jack finished. If the Concordat falls at Riel Prime, the whole galaxy changes. We need to show our hand now. Throughout the solar system, hidden facilities sprang to life. 6 massive ships, each as large as the Defiance, emerged from their secret berths. Crews that had trained for years in simulators finally took their real posts. On Mars, Ambassador Anna Wilson received the activation notice and immediately called an emergency meeting with the refugee representatives. The time has come, she told them. Earth is going to war. The battle at Riel Prime was already lost when the Concordat commanders received the message. Unknown fleet approaching from Vector 227, reported a sensor officer on the Concordat flagship. High Commander Vex, who had taken personal command of the defense fleet, looked up sharply. Scaren reinforcements? No, sir. They appear to be Earth ships. What? Vex rushed to the tactical display. Sure enough, 7 massive vessels were approaching at impossible speed, far faster than any fold space drive should allow. The largest ship transmitted on all frequencies. Concordat Defense Fleet, this is Admiral Jack Morgan of the Earth Defense Forces. We're here to assist. Hold your position. Vex stared at the screen in disbelief. The humans are helping us? Before he could respond, the Earth ships accelerated past the Concordat fleet toward the advancing Scaren armada. The Scarens had brought over 30 ships, a force that had been steadily pushing back the Concordat for months. They're outnumbered, Vex's tactical officer said. Even with their advanced technology, they can't possibly. His words died as the Earth Dreadnoughts opened fire. Unlike conventional battles with energy beams and explosive projectiles, this was something entirely new. The human ships projected fields of distorted space that enveloped Scaren vessels. Some Scaren ships were crushed as gravity around them intensified 1,000-fold. Others were torn apart as gravity waves pulled them in different directions. The lead human ship, the Defiance, fired what appeared to be missiles. But instead of exploding, they created spheres of absolute darkness, Micro-singularities, whispered the Concordate science officer in awe. They're creating controlled black holes as weapons. The battle that should have lasted days was over in hours. The Scaren fleet, the terror of the outer systems, was reduced to scattered debris. Not a single Earth vessel was lost, though several showed damage to their outer hulls. "Open a channel to the human flagship," Vex ordered, his voice hoarse. Admiral Morgan's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired but satisfied. "Hi, Commander," he said with a nod. "I trust our assistance was timely." Vex struggled to find words. "Why?" he finally asked. "Why would you help us after how we treated your species?" Morgan's expression remained neutral. "Because that's what humans do. We protect those who need protection, even those who looked down on us." The implied rebuke wasn't lost on Vex. "Your weapons, your ships, they don't use quantum fold technology at all, do they?" "No," Morgan replied. "We took a different path. When you classified us as primitive, we realized we needed to think differently. So we did." Vex's faceplates shifted in what humans might recognize as shame. We misjudged your species." "Yes," Morgan agreed simply. "You did." After the battle, representatives from the Concordate were invited aboard the Defiance. They walked through the massive ship in stunned silence, seeing technology that defied their understanding. Dr. Emily Chen, now head of Earth's Science Division, led the tour. "Our gravity manipulation field creates a bubble of altered spacetime," she explained as they observed the engine room. "We don't push through space like your fold drives, we reshape space itself to move." "But such technology would take thousands of years to develop," protested a Concordate scientist. Emily smiled. "Only if you follow the same research path everyone else did. We started fresh with no preconceptions." In the ship's conference room, Admiral Morgan met with High Commander Vex and the other Concordate leaders. "The Scarens are defeated at Rigel, but they still control 12 systems," Morgan said, displaying a star map. "Our intelligence suggests they're regrouping for another push." "Our fleets need time to rebuild," Vex admitted reluctantly. "We cannot mount an effective counteroffensive for at least 6 months," Morgan nodded. "Then Earth will hold the line until you're ready." "Why would you do this for us?" asked one of the Concordate commanders. "Not for you," Thomas Reed said from his position by the door. "For all the species you abandoned. For the Tilani, the Vorn, the Kaidan, all those you decided weren't worth protecting." Vex looked down at the table. "We made difficult choices. You made wrong choices," Anna Wilson said firmly. "And now humanity will show you a better way." As the Concordate representatives departed, they looked back at the human dreadnoughts with new eyes. The ships they had once dismissed as primitive now represented the galaxy's best hope for survival. And the humans, it seemed, were just getting started. 6 months after the Battle of Riel Prime, representatives from over 40 species gathered on Earth. It was the largest interstellar meeting ever hosted by humans, and perhaps the most important gathering in the galaxy since the founding of the Concordate thousands of years ago. The Grand Assembly Hall in New Geneva had been built specifically for this event. At its center stood a circular table where the primary delegates sat. Ambassador Anna Wilson represented Earth, while High Commander Vex represented the Concordate. Between them sat Riel of the Tilani, now speaking for a coalition of the species that Earth had protected. President James Moore opened the proceedings with a simple statement. "Today we begin a new chapter in galactic history." The mood in the room was tense. The Scaren threat had been pushed back, but not eliminated. 3. More major battles had been fought, with Earth's dreadnoughts leading the charge each time. The Concordate fleets, once the undisputed masters of the galaxy, now followed human tactical leadership. Anna stood to address the gathering. "For too long, the galaxy has been divided between those with power and those without. The Concordate's age-based hierarchy left younger species vulnerable and ignored. When crisis came, that system collapsed." Vex's faceplates shifted in discomfort, but he did not interrupt. Earth proposes a new alliance, Anna continued, not based on age or technological development level, but on cooperation and mutual defense. Every species contributes what they can and receives protection in return. A concordant elder rose from his seat. You ask us to abandon 10,000 years of tradition, to place ourselves on equal footing with species that were still using combustion engines when our ancestors had already mapped the galaxy? Yes, Admiral Jack Morgan said bluntly, standing beside Anna. Because your 10,000 years of tradition nearly got you all killed. Your technological stagnation left you vulnerable. The Admiral activated a holographic display showing the 7 Earth Dreadnoughts. We built these ships in 15 years, while your scientists insisted such technology would take millennia to develop. Not because humans are smarter, but because we looked at problems differently. Imagine what we could accomplish if all species shared knowledge freely without artificial barriers. Murmurs filled the room, some supportive, others resistant. Riel of the Talani spoke next. When the Scarens attacked our colonies, the Concordat abandoned us to our fate. It was humans, a so-called primitive species, who saved us. The silver-skinned alien looked around the room. I have seen their world. They argue. They disagree. They challenge each other constantly. But when action is needed, they unite. We would be wise to learn from them. The debate continued for hours. Some Concordat species, particularly the younger members who had always resented their subordinate status, supported Earth's proposal. Others clung to the old hierarchy that had given them power and privilege. Finally, High Commander Vex rose to speak. The room fell silent. For 15,000 years, I have served the Concordat, he began. I have upheld its traditions and enforced its rules. When I first met humans, I dismissed them as primitive and unworthy of notice. Vex turned to look directly at Anna and Jack. I was wrong. The Battle of Riel Prime proved that beyond doubt. But I have been wrong about something far more important than human capabilities. The commander's voice grew softer, forcing everyone to listen carefully. I was wrong about what makes a civilization great. It is not age. It is not even technology. It is the ability to adapt, to grow, to change when change is needed. Vex placed his hands on the table. The Concordat has not truly changed in thousands of years. We refined our technology, expanded our territory, but our thinking remained fixed. That is why we could not defeat the Scarens. That is why we needed humans to save us. A shocked silence filled the room. No one had expected the proud commander to admit such things. I support Ambassador Wilson's proposal, Vex said finally. The old Concordat must end so that something better may begin. 3 days later, after intense negotiations, the Treaty of Earth was signed. The Galactic Alliance was born, a new organization where all species would have a voice proportional to their contributions, not their age. In a private room after the ceremony, Thomas Reed found Anna Wilson looking out a window at the stars. You did it, he said, joining her. When we stood in that Concordat hall 15 years ago, did you ever imagine this? Anna smiled. Not exactly this. I just wanted them to respect us. And now they follow our lead. Thomas shook his head in wonder. The Talani are already adopting our education system. 3 Concordat species have requested our scientists visit their homeworlds to share research methods. It's not about leading them, Anna said firmly. It's about showing there's another way to do things. A better way. Their conversation was interrupted by Admiral Morgan, who entered with a data pad. The final reports from the Scaren front, he said. Their forces have withdrawn to their home system. The immediate threat is over. And the Dreadnoughts? Thomas asked. Jack smiled, a rare sight. Being refitted, but not for war. He showed them the designs on his pad. The massive ships were being reconfigured, their weapons systems reduced, and their internal spaces redesigned. Exploration vessels, Anna said, reading the specifications. Deep space research and first contact missions. Jack nodded. The first ship leaves next month. Multi-species cruise, with representatives from 12 different worlds. They'll go beyond Concordat space to regions no one has explored. Who's commanding? Thomas asked. Captain Daniel Foster. And he's requested both of you join as diplomatic advisors. Jack raised an eyebrow. Interested in making history again? Anna and Thomas exchanged glances, then smiled. When do we leave? Anna asked. 1 month later, the EXS Unity, formerly the Dreadnought Defiance, prepared to depart Earth orbit. On the observation deck, Anna and Thomas watched their home planet grow smaller as the ship accelerated outward. It's strange, Thomas said quietly. 15 years ago, they called us primitive and locked us in our own solar system. And now, we're leading the first multi-species expedition beyond known space. Anna finished. Captain Foster's voice came over the comms. All systems ready. Gravity drive engaging in 30 seconds. Around them, the crew worked at their stations. Humans, alongside Talani, Maritax, and even several concordate species. Former enemies, now colleagues, united in exploration. Ready? Thomas asked Anna as the gravity drive powered up. She smiled, watching the stars ahead of them. Ready for whatever's out there. The Unity's gravity field activated, bending space-time around the massive ship. In a flash of distorted light, it vanished into the depths of unexplored space. The ship that had once been built for war now carried a message of peace and cooperation to the stars. And at its heart were the humans, the species that had been dismissed as primitive, only to show the galaxy a better way forward, not through the power of their dreadnoughts, but through the power of their ideas.